The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
I say welcome back, but this is the first time. No ifs, ands, or buts. The show. He is Matt Butt's attorney. I am Tony Kurre. Welcome to another award-winning show right here on our Tony Kurre Radio podcast network of shows. And so happy to have this gentleman on. This is not our first time we have spoken together. We actually met through a third party, the Spy for Rent guys. So I want to thank them for certainly putting me in touch with you. We've been talking about doing this show for about 4 or 5 months, and it is time to get after it, man. Matt Butts, how are you, partner? What's going on?
I'm doing great, man. Just, out here trying to get it done and having a blast. I'm glad to be on the show.
It's great to have you. And I think we're going to knock it out of the park with you because I think this is the first lawyer show I've ever done, specifically with a lawyer for Tony Kurre Radio. So I'm really excited about that. And we've been on the air for about 4 or 5 years. That's just go to show that I don't do shows with just whoever. Money is not the most important thing. I want to make sure that we have good content. I want to make sure that my guests are good on air. And I want to make sure that our listeners get something out of the show. And so with that being said, I get to kind of pick and choose who I work with. So I take that as a compliment. You and I have already had lunch. We've broken bread together. He is Matt Butts. mbutts.law.net is the website, 948-4958, 948-4958. We'll give it those numbers and more. And of course, have it scrolling around the bottom of the screen as well. But you do divorce, post-divorce actions, prenuptials, criminal defense, entertainment law. What's entertainment law?
I'm a musician myself, so this is something that I'm more getting into. I'm way more experienced in divorce and criminal defense, primarily misdemeanor city court type things. But I'm getting into entertainment law because I'm going to need to know it, right? If I want to be successful with the music that I'm putting out, I got to know some of the nuts and bolts of that.
So give me an example. For example, you do play instruments. So give me an example. Why would I want to hire you for some type of what would be an entertainment law case that you would take on?
I mean, it's primarily contracts, right?
Yeah.
So if you're signing with a record company, you're signing with the NFL, do
people still sign with record companies? Is that still real?
I don't know. I haven't. I haven't, but I've dealt with a few people who have. And really, they just want to make sure their interests are taken care of because it's a lot of words, a whole lot of paper, and a lot of the, just sign here and everything will be okay type environment. Well, we want to take a look at it and just make sure everything truly is okay.
Yeah, there have been some horror stories. John Fogerty one. We've actually had some rock and rollers who have actually plagiarized themselves.
Yes,
which is pretty amazing. That's very difficult to plagiarize yourself, but it can happen if you don't have the right lawyer for sure. Primarily, you do divorce
That's
work.
Right.
Anyone that listens to my shows knows that I went through one, and I'm still going through one. And so to keep everything above board, and I am critically honest about my particular situation, but I need to be careful where I talk about things. So you may hear some questions coming from me that you'll go, that's an interesting question, and maybe it plays into the fact that I'm probably going through that situation. Why would I use Matt Butts as my divorce attorney before anyone else? We'll start right there. Big hard question.
Well, I'd like to start with my experience. So when I was in law school, I really had no legal experience, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I ended up getting a job with Judge Agnes Chappelle in divorce court, and I was there for 3 years. I was her assistant. All the orders I would scan through, I would read through, I would make sure that they were good. I sat through a lot of trials, so I really became interested in divorce work because it was a lot more than I really thought that it was, and there's a lot more good that I can do in that. Fast forward, I graduate law school and I go to work for some of the best attorneys in this state because,
Nice.
I mean, from my court experience, that's what helped give me that leg up. So then, I learned so much from them. And when I went solo, I grew up in Corner, Alabama, man. So I am, and I went to law school at 33. So I've dug ditches before, and I've done all sorts of manual labor. I like to treat humans like humans. I never make this business of the thing more important than the lawyering of the thing, and truly keeping people's interests in mind. And I'm not saying other attorneys don't do that. There's some phenomenal attorneys around here, but I can tell you that I think the appeal here is just I try to be very, very down to earth. I try to be very direct. I don't sell you anything. I was always a terrible salesman. But I'm going to tell you the truth, but also tell you the best strategy for your situation.
Dan, I think by listening to this show over the next maybe the first 2 weeks, you'll get the idea. Because I certainly got that from you, and that's why I wanted to do this show with you. Because I felt that comfortable, and I didn't feel like you were trying to sell me anything. You're not throwing out phone numbers. You're not saying you're the best at anything, even though I think you probably are. Um, where most people I think get in trouble, let's just get dirty right into it. Let's get right into it. So I know the 7 year itch is now like the 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old itch. That seems to be where a lot of people are getting the majority of divorces. Maybe it's because the kids are finally flying the coop, or maybe they're back to just having to deal with each other. And I know certainly COVID played a big part
Yes, it
of what
did.
you do. Let's back up a little bit and start with COVID. How did that affect your business? What have you seen in the industry wise since COVID hit in 2019, 2020?
So I was working for the court at that time, so I had a very, very unique view of what was going on, and there were a whole lot of divorces coming in because think about it. Okay, it's easy to compartmentalize your problems when you can escape them, but when you're in the same house
Hmm.
all the time, and not only that, you're homeschooling the children. That's a phenomenal way to raise children, but it's not for everybody. It kind of got thrown on everybody. All these pressures just started building up, and people were like, I can't do this anymore. I've spent a full year in a home with this person, and I'm realizing that I cannot do it anymore. Which is, I mean, it's sad, right? I never want to see people get divorced. I don't push people for divorce. I want people to reconcile and have healthy marriages. But where that cannot happen, I mean, it becomes pretty evident. And they say, we're just done. We finally really got to know each other after all these years, and it turns out we don't like each other very much.
Wow. And
And
then,
it's
and it's
sad.
not, and then maybe they have stayed together for the kids.
Yeah, yeah, maybe they did because lots of times they will just put their own personal problems to the side, which we should put our children first. We should be able to say, hey, despite whatever problems I've got as the adult parent, my
Hmm.
children come first in everything. But when there's no longer that priority, they're no longer children, they're adults, they're flying the coop, they're going to college or maybe even raising families of their own. Again, it's kind of like that COVID situation. All that's left is you and your spouse. And was that relationship flourishing? Was that relationship healthy? Was that relationship in a place to where it would be long lasting? Or were you just staying together for the kids and at this point you can't take it anymore?
No, I got a psychologist friend of mine, Dr. Josh Clapin. He'll tell you that one thing COVID did is shined a really big, bright light on all of our issues.
Yes, it did.
And you couldn't run from it. I mean, it was there, and if there was any issues, I'd like to think, I call it the dirty divorce spoon. You use a spoon to do your coffee. You leave your spoon on the counter. You walk away. The wife comes in, says, "Hey, could you by chance put that spoon maybe in the dishwasher? Just an idea." And you're like, "Well, sure." Maybe you do it twice. The next day there's that Wednesday, and there's that spoon again. And those are the little things that get bigger and bigger and bigger, and we call it death by a thousand cuts. I would like to think that the majority of your business is coming from people who, like you said, have just grown apart and not necessarily one big thing, whether it's a drug addiction, whether it's stealing from an account, or maybe even infidelity. Is that true?
I wish I could say it was, but generally we're seeing lots of catalysts for divorce. And what I'm seeing a
Really?
lot now is financial abuse. I'm seeing a lot of financial abuse, and I consult with it's primarily women coming in and saying, "Look, it's all his money, right?
Hmm.
There's never been an our money thing, even though I stayed home and took care of the kids, or even though I made less money, but I did this, this, and this to make sure that he could go out and make that money. But when it comes down to dollars and cents, they're like, oh no, that's my money. This is my house. Well, no, it's marital property for a reason, and you can't just put somebody out on the street when you've been married for 20 years and you've been the primary breadwinner. You can't do that. You had an agreement for 20 years that this is how it would work, and then you want to pull the rug? Absolutely not. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not one of those take them for everything you can get type of lawyers, but I am a very fair lawyer in saying that's not okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Also, I've seen a rise in drug and alcohol use. I've seen a rise in pornography. I've seen a rise in all sorts of things that, I always, whenever I think that I cannot be surprised in this business, I get surprised by something.
Yeah, I'll bet you do. That you bring up a really interesting point, and we mentioned that 7-year itch, now the 16, 17, 18-year window. It does feel like a lot of times the wife or the mother stays home. She watches the kids. I know that's the toughest job in the world. My wife was sick for a long period of time. I had to do it all for a period of time, so it is incredibly difficult. She hasn't worked in a long time, and then for whatever reason, she either wants to go off and do her own thing. Maybe she found out there wasn't enough love in the relationship. Maybe the kids are old enough now to understand that parents don't always get along, or maybe they're bickering each other and they realize the kids don't need to see this type of bickering. Sometimes you just can't put your differences aside in front of the kids. It's difficult to fake it till you make it kind of situation.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden you realize, hey, listen, and we're going to get into all kinds. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. If you've got any questions, please send them again. I know we're going to get bombarded with 8 trillion questions, and I love it. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Please send us your questions, and we'll get into the money matters. We'll talk about the kids, and we'll talk about everything that goes to divorces. But yeah, all of a sudden, you're 15, 20 years into something, and guys are like, oh, it's okay. It'll work it out. It'll work its way out. And meanwhile, while you've been just kind of pushing forward and working and going on your trips to Vegas with the boys and doing your thing that you do, playing golf on weekends, she's been pigeonholing money over here going, I'm leaving your ass in a couple of years. You just don't know it yet, correct?
100%. And it's sad that it comes to that, but I mean, that is the way that it happens lots of times. And she's had to pigeonhole money because she's had no access to it lots of times.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, my wife homeschools our 3 children, and she is phenomenal at what she does. And thankfully, from doing this work and being in court as long as I have been, I get to see, I always knew that what she did was valuable, but it's easier to quantify now.
Yeah.
I'm the primary breadwinner of our home, but I could not do what I do if it were not for my wife doing what she does. We are a team, and that's the way a marriage should be.
Absolutely.
You should be a team. And if you're not, then there's always some type of power struggle. And if there's a power struggle in a marriage, it's headed toward failure.
Yeah. Talk about his name is Matt Butts, brand new show called No Ifs, Ands, or Buts. Get it? mbuttslaw.net, mbuttslaw.net, 948-4958. Talk about this is going to make some people go, but it's meant to be. And this is a show that we should be doing. We should have started years ago. I spent half my life with my wife.
Mhm.
We dated for 5, 6, 7 years, and then we got married. We were married for 17, 18 years. And all of a sudden, it's like a switch goes on. I'm getting a peck on the cheek one night, I love you. To the next day, nothing. Because we've decided we're going to go down this road. And hopefully it's a mutual thing, but in most cases, it's not. I was just told, hey, listen, I need some time. I want to separate. Don't want to divorce, but I want to separate. And of course, I was like, that's not going to happen. We're going to go to marriage counseling. We're getting after it because I'm like, does no good for you to move 500 miles away and think about what you have to go through. At this point in time, you should pretty much know what you want. And I get that. Talk about, though, where a lawyer comes in to play, to be somewhat of that buffer, because some people are like, from this point on, I know yesterday I kissed you and said I love you when we went to bed, and now all of a sudden it's over. Go talk to my lawyer about it, and talk about some of the things we can do to perhaps make it a little easier on us, because a lot of times I like to think that it's always amicable. Do you know where I'm going with this? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because the first thing my lawyer did, and I didn't know you before this, or else I probably would have hired you, was cut her off. Cut her off. Cut her off. Don't give her anything. Don't, just cut her off. Don't talk to her. Don't do anything. Contact. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's my wife. I spent half my life with her. I'm going to be, I'm her husband still. and that really rubbed me wrong. And I understood it from a lawyer standpoint. And boy, did I learn quickly that was the route she took. Do not speak with me from this point on. If you have any questions for me, I'm like, can I ask you if you want to go have lunch tomorrow? I couldn't even do that. It was kind of like, really? But that's where it went. Can you talk about how lawyers play into that buffer zone a little bit?
I can, and I read each situation differently. I always find out, hey, what's the current state and atmosphere of the relationship? Are you guys able to sit down and talk? I mean, even if one party wants it, one party doesn't, is it something that you can sit down and work some things out with? Because believe me, if you want me to parse out every single part of your personal property, that's going to be very expensive. What's a lot less expensive is if you guys can come to some type of resolution there without doing years and years in court. That's not always the case. So, if it's the type of atmosphere where they can talk, I say do talk. Figure out what you want. And then let's get this thing on paper, and I'll advise you in every area there. But if I start seeing red flags and signs, I realize that any attempt at conversation or invitation can be manipulated into something to where you're trying to do them harm, or you're harassing them, or any number of things. So I've got to protect you first. And I've got to say, okay, if she's acting this way, then I do need you to kind of stay to yourself and don't
Okay.
give anything away. We're not going to, because we're all building a trial strategy here with the hopes that we never go to trial and that we resolve this thing. But I've always got to have that in my mind of saying, okay, if we were to go to trial on this, because I go to trial a decent amount, um,
What
how
percentage of your
would,
cases go to trial?
no, I couldn't tell you. It's most of them settle as they should,
Yeah.
because when you settle, you actually get some input into what's going to happen with
Yeah. Hmm.
your life. But I mean,
Boy, it could go back. Just hold on. Say that again, because I don't think people realize, and certainly my judge said, listen, I don't think you're going to like what I have to say, either one of you. I don't think either one of you are going to like what I say. So you behoove yourself to figure this out before I get
yes,
a hold of it, because I don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. And I promise you, you ain't going to like what you hear. Can you talk about that a little bit and
I
kind of
can't.
put your difference aside, please?
And especially in Jefferson County, we've got four sitting judges who operate only in the domestic relations areas, and they are phenomenal judges. They've got a lot of cases on their docket. Divorce is, I had no idea this many people were getting divorced before I got in it. So there's a whole lot there. And they don't have a month to hear your entire story and everything you feel about everything. They don't have that. They have time to hear a trial, but when they hear that trial, they're going to listen to both sides and they're going to rule. And usually, both parties are a little bit unhappy with the order, right? So a little bit happy and a little bit unhappy. However, and if it has to come to that, you do it.
Yeah.
If the other side is so unreasonable that you cannot come to a resolution, or the facts are so bad that you have to go try that thing, you go do it. Uh, but if you can settle this case, you can put in a lot of terms that the court probably wouldn't do, right? So if the both of you have agreed that you want 50-50 custody, lots of times that's not ruled from the bench. It varies from judge to judge, but lots of times if you go to trial, 50-50 generally isn't ruled. So because that only really works if the parties are getting along.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they're not getting along, that becomes a hard thing. So there are any number of things that are very, very important to you, such as your personal property, your Pokemon collection, your anything that are not going to be as important in a trial to that judge as the custody of your children and the safety and well-being of them. So you just got to understand that the more input that you have in this resolution, the happier you're gonna be, even though you're going to have to compromise, and it's not going to be everything you want. At least you've got some input.
Yeah. And again, I can't stress this enough, because 1 minute, particularly if you're the one that's being told, hey, listen, I don't want to be with you anymore. For God's sakes, wake up and smell the coffee. There are red
Right.
flags all over the place. Talk about that a little bit, because normally when someone says, I didn't see that coming, I'm like, you ain't paying attention then. You always
Well,
see it coming. When you're talking about something as large as divorce and you don't see it coming, now I know why she probably doesn't want to be with your ass anymore. Because if you don't,
what
am I, no?
Sometimes, yes. Lots of times,
I mean, outside just a
100%.
sniveling little bitch who just wants to take your stuff and say you're wealthy and she wants to take every dime you got. I mean, I get that. But I mean,
Yeah.
if you've been in a marriage for 12, 13, 14, 15 years and you got two or three kids and you don't see it coming, there's something wrong.
Well, sometimes, people, I mean, people always get very, very busy with their jobs, especially when they're very devoted to those jobs and their children, things like that. But sometimes there's affairs that the other party doesn't know about and
Yeah.
never will know about. But the accusations on the other side are it's emotional abuse. Now, I've seen cases of actual emotional abuse, but it's crazy how many times I hear, well, he emotionally abuses me because he ignores me. You're really having an affair with another person, and we're kind of dodging that all around. But so sometimes you don't see it coming. Sometimes, but most of the time, like you said, you do. I mean, you're just drifting apart so much that you have to figure out reasons why you're still married. Now, for me, it would be, I mean, I'm a Christian. It's the covenant relationship, and I think that honors you to God there as well as to your wife.
Absolutely.
Not everybody sees it that way, and it's not my place to make anybody see things the way that I do. Uh, but when it gets to that point, yeah, you've got to face reality, and that's what I try to help people do. I'm not gonna try to sell you anything. I'm gonna sit down and talk to you and say, okay, look, I gotta tell you the thing that everybody else around you knows, but they're too scared to tell you. You're paying me too much money to not tell you this.
Yeah.
Um, and then help them come to terms with that reality because it's hard. I mean, like we will be so deceptive to ourselves about our own situation sometimes. We will want to make it out to be better than what it really is. And sometimes we want to make it out to be worse than what it really is.
Yeah.
So we got to find that place right in the middle to where we say this is what it actually is.
mbutslaw.net, mbutslaw.net, 948-4958, 948-4958. And of course, you can go to our website at Tony Curry Radio. We'll have it up on our podcast. And of course, this show will be available not only live on our YouTube channel, but also available wherever you get your social media. And of course, wherever you get your podcast, we're available on every major indice out there, including Yardstream starting next week. So we're going to be all over the place. Um, yeah, I think this is good. And what I feel so comfortable about with you is the fact that I'm continually going through a particular case and you were willing to listen to me. I was like, listen, as long as you want to listen, I'll talk. It's therapy. It's therapeutic for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I had two salads in front of me. I didn't take a bite of either one of them until I got done. Years to know they're chowing down, and I'm like, I'm never going to
Oh
eat
no,
this
I'm
salad
always gonna eat.
because my mouth was moving like a duck's ass. It was unbelievable. But it is interesting in that uh, how often do you have one person in a relationship that wants to fight fair, but the other one does not? And
All
does
the
that?
time. I
eh,
mean,
eh,
like I say all the time. Maybe it's just because it's so memorable every time it happens, but there's a lot because
Hey,
really,
let me just back up a little bit. There's this thought process. If you want, and I'm talking to ladies or men, if you're the one that instigates this and says, "Listen, I want to leave you, or I need some time away from you, or I don't think this is working, or maybe I want a divorce," you're leaving me. Okay, you're not only leaving me, you're turning my world upside down. You more than likely are going to take my children away from me at least half the time. That is really, really, really tough because everyone says, man, when you have your children, stay with them all the time. Why? Because time goes by so quick. Well, take that and cut that in half. You're seeing
yeah.
your kid 14, 15 days out of the month. That's tough. That's really tough. And everyone's been divorced out there will tell you. And so if you're the one that's instigating this, I'm not going to make things easy on you. I want to give you what you want, and if you're not happy with me, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to ask somebody three times to dance with me. If you say no, I'm gone. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that
Yeah.
guy. I don't. So talk a little bit about that and how it can sour really, really quick. Because if you're all of a sudden saying I'm out, I don't want anything to do with this, all of a sudden you're surprised. Why are you acting like this? What do you mean? Why am I acting like this? You're going to turn my entire world upside down. This is not what I want, and you're making me do something that I don't feel comfortable doing.
Well, I mean, at
God,
the
that
end
was
of the day,
therapeutic. Thank you very much. I feel like I
yeah.
need to get on the damn couch.
Obviously, there's going to be big emotions whenever a divorce happens, because it is the breakdown of a family unit, and that's a very, very, very big deal. However, The emotions of it are something that you have to learn to manage. And I know that that it sounds bad saying that, and I'm no therapist, but over time, that's going to have to come to a place of being reasonable. Because what I look at when I take a case, the first thing I think of is, okay, what would a judge think about this?
Hmm.
Right. So, what's the most reasonable approach? I don't want to sit there and sell you dreams and sell you ketchup popsicles or anything like that. I want to help align your thinking with what would be the most reasonable approach in court. Because, from my experience, the most reasonable person in the courtroom generally gets the most favorable outcome.
Hmm.
So, my process
Say
there,
that again. Say that again.
my experience is that the most reasonable person in the courtroom generally gets the most favorable outcome.
Thank you. Listen to that, folks. It's very important.
So we take those emotions, and I never expect anyone to have it together when they come to me, especially for a consultation for the first time. But I give them trajectory and I give them the best right thinking on the matter that I can, so that we say, okay, look, I know you want to get back at them. I know you want to pop back. Why don't we put that on pause for a minute? Why don't we think about the reality of the situation and how that's
Mm.
going to make you look? Because even if you've been legitimately hurt, if you walk into court and you're vindictive, the judge can read that all over your face. And then they realize I'm dealing with a vindictive person and you've made yourself the problem.
Yep.
So you don't want to do that. But you also want to find some real actual peace for yourself. So it's not just about masking what's there. It's about acceptance. It's the stages of grief. And it's coming to a place of going, okay, this is brass tacks. This is one of the most important decisions I will ever make. I want to make sure that I'm making it out of logic and not emotion.
This show is going to be awesome. And it hurts. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, it hurts. Having gone through this thing, and it's a show that we should have, this should be on. It's going to run forever because divorce is real. It affects roughly half of us,
Yeah.
and it needs to be talked about. Um, it really does. And I would say this, and I would like for you, at the end of each show, to give us a little word of wisdom, Matt Butt's word of wisdom on how to keep a marriage together so we don't have to worry about hiring a divorce lawyer. So
Yeah.
I want you to think about that. We can start that next week because I want you to have some thought process. If I could just say right off the bat, don't wait till you have problems before you go to a marriage counselor. Guys, I'm telling you, it's the best thing in the world. Unfortunately, most of the time you're too far gone by the time you get to a marriage counselor. The pain is there. There's no digging out. The scars are too deep, and chances are you can't save it. But if you go and start talking to someone ahead of time, before it gets to that point, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I know a lot of guys are going, oh, well, guess what? Your ass is probably going to be divorced in about 5 or 6 years. So keep that in mind.
The more selfish of a trajectory you take, the more likely that would be. When really we know this advice, we heard it a long time ago. Um, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I'm
Mm,
not telling you that I've done that
mm,
perfectly, but what it
mm.
makes you do is you get outside of yourself, and there's something about the service of someone you love that really heals a lot of pain and wounds.
Yes.
And the humility of saying, you know what, I'm prioritizing my life and you're first.
Hmm. There you
And
go.
I want to see you smile and be genuinely happy. There's just something about that. And it doesn't always work, but let me tell you something that brings you to a healthier space of just getting out of your own echo chamber.
Yeah, we always say a happy wife, happy life, and we kind of laugh at that. When you are in a relationship and the wife and or husband is as happy as you are, it is a beautiful
Mhm.
thing. I mean,
It
there's a
is.
reason why God created marriage, and it is a wonderful thing. And when it's working, man, it makes your life a lot better than being single. I got news for you. It's pretty amazing stuff. All right, tell people how they can get in touch with you, my friend. We're going to be doing the show every single week. We do it on Tuesdays, right around 11 o'clock, and it goes live, but then we'll drop it in our podcast. So it'll be available everywhere later on this afternoon. You go back and check it out. We're going to do at least one episode. We could probably do an episode every day if you wanted to, but I think we're going to stick with one a week
I'm so
to get
busy.
to get things rolling. But I've already written down like 25 different things that I want to get into. everything from finances to staying together for the kids. I mean, we could go around. So we're going to get to all of it. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. If you've got anything, don't feel like you can't get in the weeds with us. We'll be more than happy, and we'll talk about anything. This is internet, so we can go anywhere you want, man.
That's right.
This is real life here. So tell people how they can get in touch with Matt Butts.
Well, my office is in Gardendale. You can call and schedule a consultation. The number is 205-948-4958. I've got a website. It's mbutslaw.net. And those are the primary ways.
There you go. Thank you very much. Maybe the next time we talk, I'll be starting to play some drums or something like that, and you can get me some entertainment law.
Man, let's make some music, Tony. Let's make some awesome music.
Let me make it with a female first, and then we'll get together later. How's that? Thank you, brother.
Good.
We'll talk next week, man.
All right. Thanks, man.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.